Hanju said, "The heavenly court is nothing to me. The foundation of the heavenly court is still too weak. The reason why I'm reminding you is that the heavenly court can attract the attention of all living beings. I don't want the heavenly court to collapse for the time being." Apart from posturing, there was nothing else. Hanju said this on purpose. What it meant in the heavenly emperor's ears was that it was none of his business. It was good enough as long as the heavenly emperor did not expect him to be the dark forbidden lord. The heavenly emperor frowned again. These words could represent many meanings, but he couldn't eliminate the possibility that the other party would definitely not become enemies with the heavenly court. Hanju shattered the dream. The more he spoke, the more mistakes he would make, so he just stopped here. After returning to reality, Hanju didn't receive any notification that the heavenly emperor's favorability towards him had decreased. He had been thinking that if the other party had a favorable impression of him but hated his other identity, how should he judge? From the looks of it, the system would choose the other party's impression of his main body. Hanju continued to use the derivation function and asked in his heart, "I want to know if the heavenly emperor can survive this calamity. 2 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue?" "Continue." "Yes, for the time being." For the time being. It meant that according to the current development, the heavenly emperor could live. Hanju heaved a sigh of relief. He felt that the heavenly emperor owed him too much. The heavenly emperor had died in the past few simulated calamities. How many years had Hanju sacrificed for the heavenly emperor? It was immeasurable. Hanju stopped thinking and continued cultivating. Next, he would try his best to derive the future as little as possible in case new changes happened. Of course, if it was about his own safety, Hanju would still try his best to find a way out. 20 years later. Boom! Hidden Insect Island suddenly shook as if hit by a huge object. Hanju was awakened. He opened his eyes and saw a huge golden bell wrapped in black aura outside Hidden Insect Island. On the top of the huge bell stood a figure. It was Di La Tian. Why was this fellow here? Di La Tian looked down and muttered, "The surrounding negative karma has all surged here. There's actually a formation that can resist the zenith heaven. Could it be someone's Tao field? Or a mystic realm?" Hanju's voice sounded, "Fellow Taoist, what do you mean?" His tone was very impolite. He couldn't humble himself now. Hanju didn't want to use Jiang Yi's name. This would expose his identity and cultivation. Di La Tian asked in surprise, "Who are you?" "You actually hid in the 9 Nether Purgatory alone. I'm Di La Tian of the Golden Crow Divine Clan. I'm now taking over the 9 Nether Purgatory. If you're willing to join us, I will welcome you. If not, please leave." "Leave?" Hanju smiled and asked directly, "Can I continue cultivating after joining?" Di La Tian smiled. "Of course." A figure suddenly rushed out of Hidden Insect Island. It was Lu Bu, the guard. He slapped the Emperor Ancestral Bell away. Di La Tian squatted down and used his dermic powers to stabilize the Emperor Ancestral Bell. He looked at Lu Bu with wide eyes. "Zhu Tu! Why is it you?" Lu Bu was expressionless. Di La Tian smiled and said, "So, you were hiding here. Then, there's no problem. Pretend I've never been here. Continue cultivating." With that, he turned around and left. Lu Bu returned to Hidden Insect Island. The Black Hell Chicken looked at Jiang Yi and cursed, "Are your Golden Crow Divine Clan so unreasonable?" The others were also rather displeased. Jiang Yi said awkwardly, "It's just him. Not me." He seemed to have forgotten that he had been so arrogant and fearless in the past. Inside the Khanate cave abode, Hanju began the simulation trial with Di La Tian. He wanted to see if Di La Tian's Emperor Ancestral Bell could break through the defense of the 36th grade Reincarnation World Destruction Black Lotus. 5 minutes later, he opened his eyes. In terms of Dharma treasures, the Emperor Ancestral Bell could not break through the defense of the 36th grade Reincarnation World Destruction Black Lotus. the reverse was the same. However, Di Lontian's cultivation was extremely strong and he killed Hanju. He couldn't defeat this fellow. No! The Nine Nether Purgatory was no longer safe. Although with Lu Bu around, he could block Di Lontian, he might not be able to block the entire Golden Crow Divine Clan. Hanju controlled Hidden Insect Island and started to escape. He didn't plan to leave the Nine Nether Purgatory for the time being because he had no better place to go. If Di Lontian wanted to kill him, he had no choice but to let Jiang Yi appear. In a few months, a war broke out in the Nine Nether Purgatory. The Golden Crow Divine Clan fought against the Vermilion Bird race and the Jie School. Hanju saw from the emails that Jing Tiangong and Huang Zuntian were constantly being attacked. It seemed that the battle was very dangerous. Di Lontian was really arrogant. He actually wanted to occupy the Nine Nether Purgatory. Hanju had to curse him. If he succeeded, he would definitely find trouble with him in the future. 10 days later, the battle pressure of the Nine Nether Purgatory stopped. Hanju's lifespan had already decreased by 2 billion years, and Di Lontian didn't develop any mental demons. No, this fellow was already demonized. How could he develop a mental demon? However, it seemed that Hanju's curse had succeeded, forcing Di Lontian to stop fighting. In a flaming palace in the Golden Crow Divine Clan, Di Lontian was alone. His expression darkened. Beside him was the shrunken Emperor Ancestral Belt. The curse just now was so strong. It must be the Dark Forbidden Lord. Why would he target me? Could it be that the rumors are true? The Dark Forbidden Lord is hiding in the Nine Nether Purgatory? Or is he from the Jie School? The more Di Lontian thought about it, the more likely he thought it was. He had been in the Nine Nether Purgatory for a period of time. Why did the Dark Forbidden Lord only curse him when he fought with the Jie School? As for Zhu Tu, it was impossible for it to be him. Zhu Tu had been cursed by the Dark Forbidden Lord to the point of death. The Divine Palace was even taken over. Could it be a self-directed show? No! If this was all an act, the price was too high. Damn it, I still have to fuse with the Devil Ancestor's Dao Fruit first. I can't act rashly. Di Lontian's eyes flickered. He suddenly thought of something and smiled. On the other side, Jie School. In a palace, dozens of upper echelons of the Jie School gathered. Huang Zuntian was also among them. Jing Tiangong laughed and said, Di Lontian's aura was clearly strange during the battle. It must be the Dark Forbidden Lord cursing him. I've already said that the Dark Forbidden Lord is paying attention to us. He will support the Jie School. Everyone from the Jie School looked at each other. They didn't believe it in the past, but they did now after the previous battle. Originally, they could not defeat Di Lontian, but his dermic powers suddenly surged and he was surrounded by the aura of misfortune. If it was not a curse, what was it? Huang Zuntian frowned. He was secretly shocked. This Vice Sect Master really hooked up with the Dark Forbidden Lord? Was the sage of the Jie School not angry about this? Jing Tiangong said, Di Lontian is full of ambition and still wants to occupy the Nine Nether Purgatory. It's simply intolerable by the Heavenly Tao. We have to think of a way to destroy the Golden Crow Divine Clan. The strength of us and the Vermilion Bird race alone is not enough. We have to invite other forces. To prevent being discovered again, Hanju had no choice but to absorb the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus negative karma. After sparring with Di Lontian, Hanju felt the pressure. Although Di Lontian was at the Zenith Heaven Realm and had obtained the power of the Devil Ancestor, Hanju felt that it was impossible to kill him. Looking at Li Daokong, even though he had just entered the Zenith Heaven Realm, he had never been severely injured no matter what big shots he faced. No! I have to be stronger than Li Daokong. Hanju set another goal for himself. His combat strength had to surpass Li Daokong's. Li Daokong was the only person among Hanju's good friends who had never suffered a setback. Furthermore, this fellow was the most reckless. What did that mean? This meant that Li Daokong was extremely strong. His talent was stronger than all of Hanju's friends. The human school only had 2 disciples. The eyes of a sage were definitely sharp. With a goal, Hanju's fighting spirit became stronger. 7 years later, Hanju suddenly discovered that there were more and more living beings in the 9 Nether Purgatory. Hanju saw an email and realized that something was wrong. Your good friend Zhang Guxing has entered the 9 Nether Purgatory. Could the recent addition of living beings be the Divine Palace cultivators? The more Hanju thought about it, the more likely he thought it was. Di Longtian saw Lu Bu and mistook him for Zhu. The Divine Palace was leaderless and was scattered by the Heavenly Court. When those Divine Palace cultivators heard that Zhu too was in the 9 Nether Purgatory, why wouldn't they come and seek refuge? Didn't Di Longtian want to dominate the 9 Nether Purgatory? Why did he reveal this information? Hanju felt that something was wrong. It was time to run. Hanju immediately controlled Hidden Insect Island to break through the space of the 9 Nether Purgatory and forcefully return to the Netherworld. The current 9 Nether Purgatory space was weak. Ordinary immortal emperors could enter and leave as they pleased. Hanju sent a voice transmission to Liu Bei and asked him to bring Hidden Insect Island to find the so-called Dark Zone. Liu Bei immediately did as he was told. The Hidden Insect Island was only the size of a stone. Being grabbed by Liu Bei, it instantly fell into darkness. The disciples of the Hidden Sect felt that the island was moving quickly. What's going on? We seem to have left the 9 Nether Purgatory. The Black Hell Demon Lord asked in shock. The Black Hell Chicken rolled its eyes at him and said angrily, "Brother, do you have a dog's brain? More and more people are finding trouble with us recently. We must be running away. Liu Bei has already gone out. He must be leading the way." The Black Hell Demon Lord's face turned ashen. Although the Black Hell Chicken made sense, it was too disrespectful. The chaotic heavenly dog said angrily, "You're not allowed to insult dogs." Liao heaved a sigh of relief. She had long felt that the 9 Nether Purgatory was not safe. Fortunately, Hanju also realized this. Jiangyi asked curiously, "Where do you think we'll go next? Could there be a place more peaceful than the 9 Nether Purgatory?" The others also guessed. Hanju heard their conversation but didn't say anything. His divine sense kept staring outside, afraid that something would happen to Liu Bei. Not long after Hidden Insect Island left the 9 Nether Purgatory, another large faction descended. The 9 Nether Purgatory was in chaos. 5 years later, Liu Bei finally arrived at the mysterious space with Hidden Insect Island. Then, Hanju asked him to return to the island. After entering the island, Liu Bei heaved a sigh of relief. He had been extremely nervous in the past 5 years, afraid that he would encounter a powerful enemy. The current netherworld was extremely chaotic. Other than ghosts, there were also living beings from the immortal world who came to avoid the calamity. The King of Hell seemed to be unable to control the order. Liu Bei had seen many battles along the way. Hanju controlled the Hidden Insect Island to continue forward. At the same time, he thought to himself, "Is this dark forbidden zone safe to place my Dao field?" These were 2 questions. 1. Was it the dark forbidden zone? 2. Was it safe? Safe for the time being. This time, the system did not deduct his lifespan. It seemed that there was no need to derive it. Hanju heaved a sigh of relief. He could finally hide again. To prevent anyone from entering through the entrance Liu Bei had discovered, Hanju controlled Hidden Insect Island to turn left and right in the dark forbidden zone while checking the surrounding enemies. No powerful enemies. Not even a single living being could be seen. It seemed like there was really no one in the dark forbidden zone. Hanju was very curious about the absence of living beings. He extended his divine sense and discovered that his divine sense dissipated the moment it left the island. His senses could not spy on the dark forbidden zone. This was extremely terrifying. Hanju had to stop. He was afraid that he would faint and not be able to find a way out in the future. No, he had the derivation function. It was not difficult for him to go out. Hanju sent a voice transmission to everyone from the hidden sect. We've arrived at the dark forbidden zone. Continue cultivating. Most of the disciples had never heard of the dark forbidden zone and couldn't help but be curious. Murongchi sighed. To come to the dark forbidden zone to avoid the calamity, Grandmaster is truly daring. Lu Huaxiu, the reincarnated Purple Star Emperor, asked curiously, is the dark forbidden zone very dangerous? It's not dangerous. On the contrary, there's nothing here. It's actually not dark either, but it's impossible to spy on. It's like being in complete darkness, so it's called the dark forbidden zone. There's no immortal chi here, so it's not suitable for cultivation. However, our island produces immortal chi. There's no need to worry about that. Murongchi shook his head. Diamond Rage said, I've also heard of the dark forbidden zone. This place is outside the heavenly Tao. It's said that if you stay here for too long, you can't even return to the heavenly Tao. You will be expelled. When Hanju heard this, he couldn't help but ask in his heart, if I stay in the dark forbidden zone for too long, will I be expelled by the heavenly Tao? 1 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? He was going to spend his life again. Hanju gritted his teeth and chose to continue. No, the Tao field can isolate the corrosion of the power of darkness. The power of darkness? What kind of power was this? 5 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? 5 billion? Hanju thought for a moment and decided to forget it. In any case, he wouldn't be in danger for the time being. Just like that, Hanju started cultivating again. 20 years later. While cultivating, Hanju checked his emails. He was amused when he saw them. Your good friend Dilan Tian was attacked by a mysterious mighty figure, X14. Your good friend Jing Tiangong was attacked by the Golden Crow Divine Clan, X3900. Your good friend Huang Zuntian was attacked by the Golden Crow Divine Clan, X478. Your good friend Zhang Guxing was attacked by Jia School Cultivators, X8766. Your good friend Jing Tiangong was attacked by a Buddhist cultivator, X744. Your good friend Dilan Tian was attacked by your good friend Jiang Dugu. The Nine Nether Purgatory was in chaos. Hanju admired his sense of danger. He had left very accurately. He had only left for a few decades when the Nine Nether Purgatory became chaotic. The Divine Palace, the Human School, and other mysterious forces interfered. The Nine Nether Purgatory had already become the second battlefield. Hanju happily absorbed the negative karma in the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus. Although he had left the Nine Nether Purgatory, the negative karma accumulated in the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus could still let him cultivate for a long time. Dong! Hanju vaguely heard a bell. It was very weak, as if he was merely hallucinating. He immediately thought of Dilan Tian's Emperor Ancestral Belt. This bell was worthy of being a heavenly Tao supreme treasure. Its sound could actually reach the dark forbidden zone and was not afraid of the obstruction of the power of darkness. Hanju stopped thinking about the bell and focused on cultivating. Next was to break through to the 5 mystic divine origin. Sometime later, the Emperor Ancestral Bell sounded from time to time. 30 years passed in the blink of an eye. Hanju was already very close to the 5 mystic divine origin. It hadn't been 200 years since his last breakthrough. Fortunately, he had comprehended life and death previously and saved decades of bitter cultivation. After arriving at the dark forbidden zone, the hidden sect island was no longer disturbed. The disciples of the sect entered the cultivation stage again to prepare for the next 100-year competition. Although there was no reward, they fought for reputation and attention. Anyone who made outstanding progress would definitely catch Hanju's eye and receive guidance. This was more attractive than rewards. Hanju looked at the emails. Most of them were about someone being attacked, but a few were about obtaining opportunities. The Heavenly Tao had already given out most of the benefits. Next, It was time to make the people who entered the calamity go mad. Hanju couldn't help but admire the heavenly Tao. People knew that it was dangerous, but they had no choice but to pounce in without hesitation. Fortunately, he was not trapped in the heavenly Tao. Otherwise, he would have died sooner or later. Since ancient times, how many people had surpassed the heavenly Tao? He continued to cultivate. 5 years later, Liao had successfully become an emperor and reached the rank 1 immortal emperor Rome. She didn't need to transcend the tribulation in the Tao field. This matter caused a stir in the hidden sect. The Black Hell Demon Lord, Jiang Yi, and Diamond Rage sensed danger. These juniors' potential was too strong. They had no choice but to work hard. Another 10 years passed. Hanju called Liao into the cave abode. Liao had just consolidated her cultivation realm and her temperament was even colder. However, she was very excited and looking forward to it. She was looking forward to Hanju's praise. Hanju said, "A rank 1 immortal emperor is not enough. You can't be proud, understand?" Liao nodded. Hanju said, "I'll teach you another mystical power to increase your strength. I hope that you can grow up soon and protect the hidden sect Tao field." "Thank you, sect master. I won't let you down." Liao spoke very firmly. Although she was cautious by nature, she had already stayed in the hidden sect for a long time and had completely integrated into it. She felt a peace that she had never felt before here. She also did not want anything to happen to the hidden sect. Hanju began to teach her the mystical power. A year later, Liao left the Khanate cave abode. The others surrounded her and asked her what she had learned. "You'll know during the next 100-year competition," Liao said. Everyone rolled their eyes. Visit NOVUBIN CM for the L test updates. This woman looked indifferent, but she was extremely competitive. As expected of a woman. 8 years later, in the midst of cultivating, Hanju sensed that Xing Hongxian was using the invocation technique. He stepped into the black vortex and came to her chamber. Xing Hongxian was the only one in the palace. Hanju came to the bed and sat down. He looked at Xing Hongxian. This time, she did not approach him without another word. Instead, she had a solemn expression on her face. "What's wrong?" Hanju asked. Xing Hongxian bit her lips and said, "The humans have rushed to the 9 heavens to prepare to attack the heavenly court." Hanju nodded. He was not surprised as he had already seen the situation. Xing Hongxian asked, "The current human race's great emperor has gathered all the cultivators above the immortal realm. I have to go too, but the heavenly court seems to have a close relationship with you. Husband, do you think I should go?" Compared to the will of the human race, she was more concerned about Hanju's attitude. Hanju rolled his eyes and said angrily, "Why are you asking me now? I asked you to come back, but did you?" Xing Hongxian curled her lips and said, "I want to grow up on my own. If I stay under you, I'll always be your burden. If you care about the heavenly court, I won't be their enemy." Hanju fell into deep thought. He only cared about the heavenly emperor, not the heavenly court. If Xing Hongxian didn't go, she would definitely be rejected by the humans. Hanju said, "The heavenly court has a deep foundation. If you participate, it's best to fish in troubled waters. Don't be too serious. Protecting your life is the most important." Xing Hongxian rolled her eyes. "Actually, there's another way to avoid it, but I've been worried." "What way?" "I can go and try the mystic realm left behind by Sage Nuwa. If I succeed, the human race will support me and won't dare to let me take any risks." Xing Hongshuan's tone was filled with anticipation. Hanju frowned slightly. He instinctively wanted to reject, but he had already checked earlier. Nuwa only wanted to develop a good relationship with him. To a mortal like Xing Hongxian, could there be a greater inheritance than one from a sage? Xing Hongxian seemed to see through Hanju's concerns and couldn't help but say, "This is a mystic realm that has been passed down for a long time. It didn't appear recently." Hanju asked, You want to go? Xing Hongxian nodded seriously. She also wanted to become stronger. Hanju said, then, I'll teach you some mystical powers first. Xing Hongxian immediately beamed. She pounced into Hanju's arms and smiled. Husband is the best. Impart them to me next month. For now, let's kneel. Yes, husband. A year later, Hanju returned to the Khanate cave abode. He sat on the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus and thought, I want to know Xing Hongshuan's situation after the calamity ends. 1 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Why had it increased to 1 billion years? This was the price of deducing a zenith heaven. Hanju immediately chose to continue. Immediately after, his consciousness entered the illusion. Hanju opened his eyes again and came to the streets of a city. People came and went, and it was extremely bustling. Everyone was looking up at the sky. Hanju also looked up and was shocked. Countless silver-armored soldiers floated in the air. All of them were extraordinary and looked like heavenly soldiers. There were also many human mighty figures meditating. Hanju's gaze passed through countless silver-armored soldiers and saw a golden bench above the sea of clouds. A blue-robed woman leaned on it. It was Xing Hongxian. Xing Hongshuan's blue robe was embroidered with dragons and phoenixes. Her face was exquisite and she wore a pearl crystal crown. Her gaze looked down on the world, looking down on it. Her eyes were mixed with disdain, joy, and spirit. What was going on? This woman became the human emperor? Hanju was dumbfounded. Although Xing Hongshuan's potential after reincarnation was not bad, he had never thought that this woman could really rise up. Hanju wanted to continue watching when the scene shattered and his consciousness returned to reality. That's it? I didn't see clearly. Is it really her? Hanju complained in his heart. He was very dissatisfied. Immediately after, another line of words appeared in front of him. It was Xing Hongshuan's introduction. Xing Hongxian, cultivation unknown. Immeasurable emperor, empress of the human race, disciple of a sage, Tao companion of the sect, master of the hidden sect. That amazing? Her being the immeasurable emperor meant that Xing Hongxian would enter the calamity and emerge victorious? Hanju frowned. He didn't know if he should be happy or worried. This should be the introduction of the future Xing Hongxian. In other words, Xing Hongxian would definitely succeed in exploring the new mystic realm. Hanju was shocked by the future Xing Hongxian. This improvement was too exaggerated. However, Hanju noticed something. What did the Tao companion of the sect, master of the hidden sect, mean? At that time, Hanju's status was already comparable to the immeasurable emperor, the disciple of a sage, the empress of the human race, and more. Perhaps, he was even stronger. Thinking of this, Hanju was proud. As expected of the woman he liked. Not bad. This was the first time Hanju had experienced the providence of the people around him in the calamity. Furthermore, it was not those geniuses or peerless mighty figures. It was Xing Hongxian, who he had always thought was mediocre. In that case, I don't have to worry. Hanju shook his head and laughed. Then, he entered his cultivation state. He couldn't let Xing Hongxian catch up to him. Even the people around him could catch up to him. How could that be allowed? Time passed. 50 years passed quickly. Ever since he moved to the dark forbidden zone, Hidden Sect Island had not encountered any trouble. The outside of the island was terrifyingly silent. There was nothing. Hanju cultivated with all his heart and finally welcomed the opportunity to break through. Before Hanju broke through, he checked his emails. He hadn't read the emails for 20 years and had almost forgotten to pay attention to the immortal world. Your good friend Li Daokong was attacked by your good friend Di La Tian. Your good friend Jing Tiangong was cursed by a mysterious curse. Your grand disciple Fang Liang was attacked by the Golden Crow Divine Clan's God, X3072. Your good friend Ji Xianshan was attacked by the Qilan race, X14097. Your good friend Heavenly Emperor was attacked by a Heavenly Court mighty figure. Your good friend Xing Hongxian has obtained the sage's inheritance. Her providence has increased greatly. Your disciple Su Qi trespassed into the Heavenly Dao domain and suffered a backlash. He was severely injured. Your good friend Jiang Dugu has entered the deity realm of the ruins of End. The battle had begun. Hanju noticed that the Heavenly Emperor was attacked by a Heavenly Court mighty figure. Which traitor was causing trouble? However, the Heavenly Emperor was not severely injured, so Hanju couldn't be bothered. The Heavenly Emperor was the Heavenly Emperor, after all. He didn't need to be a nanny. Hanju saw Su Qi's actions and couldn't help but feel helpless. Why did this kid always want to come back? He wasn't attacked, either. He was constantly facing the backlash of the Heavenly Dao. Who asked you to go out and still want to come back? Hanju had no intention of helping Su Qi. He didn't have the ability, either. After arriving at the Dark Forbidden Zone, it was very difficult for the commotion in the immortal world to spread here. Only Di Lantian's Emperor Ancestral Bell could produce a sound, and it was very weak. From the emails, Hanju couldn't know the exact situation of the Heavenly Court. It was fine as long as the Heavenly Emperor did not die. Hanju had already paved so many paths for the Heavenly Court. It was time they rely on themselves. After reading the emails, Hanju started to break through. About 4 years later, Hanju successfully broke through. Name, Hanju. Race, Primordial Fiend Celestial. Cultivation, 5 Mystic Divine Origin. Technique, Primordial Chaos Reincarnation Great Tao, Heavenly Cycle Body Tempering. Great Tao of Life and Death, Great Tao of Karma. 5 Mystic Divine Origin. His lifespan had increased by nearly a third. Hanju's divine origin dermic powers transformed and the strength of his divine sense also increased. He began to consolidate his cultivation, spending another 3 years. After his cultivation stabilized, Hanju didn't squander his lifespan. Instead, he increased his various mystical powers and his strength. He discovered that after coming to the Dark Forbidden Zone, he could no longer enter the Sword Dao River, but his Sword Dao mystical powers could still become stronger. In other words, in the Dark Forbidden Zone, he could bypass Li Daokong and raise his mystical powers to the limit. The first thing he comprehended was unparalleled Sword Qi. Every time he broke through, Hanju's understanding of the Sword Dao would deepen. With his top-notch comprehension of the Sword Dao, he could always break through the limits of the Sword Dao mystical power. At the same time, everyone from the hidden sect turned to look at the Khanate cave abode. They could all sense a powerful pressure. Jiang Yi was secretly shocked. What is he doing? Did he break through again? Chu Shun was deep in thought. The others had different expressions. The black-held chicken looked at Dao Comprehension Sword and smiled. In the past, when Master broke through, he always chased you out. Now, it's difficult for you to even enter. Who asked you to act presumptuously and move out of Master's cave abode? I think you're just lusting after Liao. Nonsense! Dao Comprehension Sword glared at the black-held chicken as Liao's eyes turned hostile. Chu Linger sighed. If it were me, I definitely wouldn't leave. Murongqi looked at Chu Shuren and asked, do you see anything? Chu Shuren closed his eyes and said, I can't see anything. 2 years later, Hanju raised all his mystical powers to the limit. His Sword Dao mystical powers had all reached the Zenith Heaven mystical power level. Hanju used unparalleled Sword Qi and could instantly use up all the divine origin dermic powers in his body. It could be seen how terrifying the Zenith Heaven mystical power was. Hanju started the simulation trial. He would challenge Li Xian'eo first. 10 breaths later, Hanju opened his eyes and was quite dissatisfied. He actually could not insta-kill Li Xian'eo. No way! He was not strong enough. Although Li Xian'eo's sword was not simple, Hanju's Dharma treasure was also very strong. If he couldn't insta-kill all the enemies in the deity realm, how could he compare to Li Daokong? Hanju deliberately ignored whether Li Daokong could kill all the deity realm experts before stepping into the Zenith Heaven realm. He had to set a goal for himself and spur himself on. Hanju challenged Li Daokong again. Li Daokong was not as powerful as he was now when he preached the Tao in the Great Ultimate Hall, but he still caused Hanju a lot of trouble. It took him an hour to win. Hanju was furious. If not for the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus, he wouldn't have been able to defeat Li Daokong. No! He had to defeat Li Daokong. Hanju became excited and started to challenge Li Daokong again. After more than 10,000 battles, Hanju lost and won repeatedly. He discovered a fatal weakness of Li Daokong. This fellow was too arrogant. He didn't use his full strength at the beginning and liked to show off to his enemies with fancy sword techniques. If Hanju used his full strength at the beginning of the battle, his chances of winning would be even higher. In the past, most of the candidates had unleashed their full strength from the beginning. Li Daokong was a rare exception. However, Hanju didn't feel that he had really caught up to Li Daokong. Ever since the end of the lecture in the Great Ultimate Hall, Li Daokong's strength had also been increasing. Before Hanju broke through to the Zenith Heaven realm, he shouldn't be his match. The Zenith Heaven mystical power is indeed powerful, but my dermic powers can't keep up. Hanju thought silently. He had the stellar primordial body. If even he was like this, other living beings couldn't use the Zenith Heaven mystical powers casually. The Zenith Heaven realm was extremely mysterious and profound. No matter if it was Tao techniques or mystical powers, once he stepped into the Zenith Heaven realm, it would be completely different. Hanju had also fought with Zenith Heaven experts. The most obvious characteristic of Zenith Heaven experts was that they were mysterious and unfathomable, as if they could not be injured. When the Zenith Heaven used a mystical power, he didn't even need to raise his hand. With a look, all techniques would be unleashed. After learning the Zenith Heaven mystical power, Hanju yearned for the Zenith Heaven realm even more. I have to hurry up and cultivate. I have to reach the Zenith Heaven realm in 1,000 years. No, 1,000 years is too ridiculous. I'll give myself 2,000 years. Hanju thought. He was only separated from the Zenith Heaven realm by the sixth mystic divine origin and was already very close. As Hanju became stronger, the disciples of the hidden sect also became stronger. About 7 years later, Tu Linger had succeeded in becoming an emperor. As expected of the hope of the Magus race, the two female disciples were the first to achieve the emperor realm, which was extremely exciting for the other male disciples. The other disciples began to cultivate diligently. In the blink of an eye, another 30 years passed. Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and cursed Hao Tian and Li Xianao. While cursing, he checked his emails. Your good friend Divine General was attacked by a Heavenly Court mighty figure and was severely injured. Your good friend Heavenly Emperor was attacked by a mysterious mighty figure, X14. Your good friend Ji Xianshan was attacked by the True Dragon Race, X403322. Your good friend Zhou Fan was suppressed by your good friend Di Lan Tian and imprisoned in the sun. Your grand disciple Fang Liang has obtained the inheritance of your good friend Heavenly Emperor. He has learned an unparalleled mystical power. Your good friend Huang Zuntian was attacked by the Golden Crow Divine Clan, X689. Your good friend Pen Xian has become a person facing the calamity. Hanju frowned. Internal strife in the Heavenly Court? Why did Fang Liang obtain the Heavenly Emperor's inheritance? Was he passing on the baton? Zhou Fan was actually suppressed by Di Lan Tian and not killed. It seemed that the current Zhou Fan was not simple. As for Pan Xian, wasn't this fellow very timid? Why did he become someone facing the calamity again? This fellow was an immeasurable emperor himself. He had once won great Providence in the previous immeasurable calamity. Why had he entered the calamity again? Hanju looked at Pan-Xian's attributes panel again. Pan-Xian, cultivation unknown. One of the first living beings after the creation of the universe. He has experienced the immeasurable calamity. As he is afraid of being discovered by the ancient master of calamity, he especially infiltrated the Sword Dao River. Due to your nature, he has developed an interest in you. Current favorability, 1 star. Oh. So he was not an immeasurable emperor. He had only experienced the immeasurable calamity. I knew it. How can a coward like him win the immeasurable calamity? Hanju no longer paid attention to Pan-Xian. Even if Pan-Xian died, he was indifferent. Half a month later, Hanju put down the Book of Misfortune and asked in his heart, I want to know if the Heavenly Emperor can survive this immeasurable calamity. 1 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. No. These 2 simple words were like a basin of cold water poured on Hanju's heart. Hanju showed a frown. Why did it become now? What happened? Hanju asked, I want to know who the greatest winner of this immeasurable calamity is. 3 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? 3 billion years. This was at least a pseudo-sage. Hanju's heart trembled. Continue. Hanju felt dizzy and quickly entered the illusion. Above a ruined hall, a figure floated in midair. His body was surrounded by colorful lights like dragons and snakes. Isn't this Jade Emperor Zhou Yan? This fellow had indeed made a move. Wasn't he the backing of the Heavenly Emperor? He had won, so why was the Heavenly Emperor dead? Could it be that the Heavenly Emperor had been sacrificed by him? The more Hanju thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. A figure suddenly walked into the hall. It was the extremely heroic-looking Heavenly God General. Hanju didn't know the Heavenly God General personally. The Heavenly God General walked to Jade Emperor Zhou Yan and knelt down. He cupped his fists and said, Your Majesty, Immortal Emperor Samsara has been executed. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan didn't even open his eyes as he said, Clean up all the living beings in the Heavenly Dao and kill them all. I want to create a new Heavenly Dao world. But the Heavenly Dao, I've already blocked the Heavenly Secrets. Go ahead. All right. The Heavenly God General stood up and left. Hanju was furious. Why did he want to slaughter the world again? Were all these mighty figures who had won the immeasurable calamity mentally ill? The illusion shattered. Hanju's consciousness returned to reality. I want to know why Jade Emperor Zhou Yan wants to kill the Heavenly Emperor, Hanju asked in his heart. He had learned his lesson. He could pay the price of 1 question to ask 2 questions. This way, he could confirm that the Heavenly Emperor was killed by Jade Emperor Zhou Yan. If that was the case, what was Jade Emperor Zhou Yan's motive? 2 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. It was nothing. Hanju entered the illusion again. It was that palace again, but it was not broken. Hanju guessed that this was the Numinous Palace. The Heavenly Emperor sat on a high throne. Dozens of immortals gathered in the hall. The Divine General, Ji Xianshen, Fang Liang, Li Daokong, Li Xianao, and the others were also here. The Heavenly Emperor was expressionless. His eyes were extremely cold and flickered with killing intent. Heavenly Emperor, are you really betraying me? Jade Emperor Zhou Yan's voice suddenly sounded in the hall. It was difficult to find the source. The Heavenly Emperor said coldly, I didn't betray you. You betrayed the Heavenly Court and the Heavenly Dao. The immortals in the hall looked around, most of them looking terrified. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan sneered. Is the Heavenly Court the Dao ancestors or the Heavenly Daos? Is everything you control really for the Heavenly Dao? The Heavenly Emperor said, Your thoughts are too crazy. I won't destroy all living beings and help you create a Heavenly Dao world that belongs to you. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan said coldly, The sages have already tacitly agreed. Are you going to insist? I only believe in the Dao ancestor. The Tao ancestor is long gone. He has already fused with the heavenly Tao and is indistinguishable now. Then, I should protect the heavenly Tao even more. You're courting death. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan said angrily. The numinous palace began to shake violently. The scene shattered. Hanju frowned. So, it was because their ideals were different that the Heavenly Emperor and Jade Emperor Zhou Yan fell out. Although this information was learned in the previous derivation, Hanju did not feel that it was a loss. At the very least, he knew that the Heavenly Emperor had died in the hands of Jade Emperor Zhou Yan. Next, he could counterattack. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan was too similar to a villain. The standard of a villain was to destroy the world. Hanju felt that Jade Emperor Zhou Yan shouldn't be taking revenge on all living beings. He only had his own selfish desires and created a heavenly Tao world that belonged to him. Then, wasn't he the heavenly Tao? Dream on! Hanju caught something. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan said that the sages had tacitly agreed. If it was true, it would be terrifying. Could this be a game between the sages and the Tao ancestor? Everyone knew that the Tao ancestor was the mighty figure who spread the Tao of cultivation for all living beings in the heavenly Tao. He was also the first sage in the world and the guide of all living beings. Hanju guessed from the information he had obtained before that the reason why the Tao ancestor disappeared was probably to break through and become stronger to fuse with the heavenly Tao. Wasn't overturning the heavenly Tao equivalent to overthrowing the Tao ancestor? The more Hanju thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. This immeasurable calamity was becoming more and more dangerous. No! Hanju had to hurry up and become a Zenith Heaven cultivator. Otherwise, it would be difficult for him to protect himself. Hanju took out the Heavenly Tao token and contacted the Heavenly Emperor. Soon, the Divine Sense connection was successful. Your Majesty, how have you been recently? Hanju asked directly. The Heavenly Emperor replied, It's alright. There was some trouble in the Heavenly Court, but it didn't affect me much. He sounded tired. By the way, I've decided to choose your grand disciple Fang Liang as the next Heavenly Emperor. I'm prepared to nurture him. The Heavenly Emperor's words were shocking. It frightened Hanju so much that his hand trembled and the Heavenly Tao token almost fell from his grasp.